And good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to the Atomic Snack Bar. And tonight we'll be discussing some random, obscure exploitation films. Though I guess they're really not that obscure, but I just needed a punchy title. And first up we have Galaxy of Terror from 1981. Co-written and directed by Bruce D. Clark, Galaxy of Terror is an alien exploitation film and both a sequel and prequel to My Favorite Martian. And it tells the story of a dystopian future ruled by the mysterious being known as the Master. After a ship crashes on a distant planet, the Master sends out a rescue team to recover the survivors. The rather dysfunctional team, who appears to have been big Battlestar Galactica fans, arrive on the planet nearly crashing themselves. They soon find that none of the first crew have survived, and they were seemingly taken out by monsters. A large alien pyramid is then discovered, and things go really wonky from there as the crew struggles to survive the mystery of the structure. And I'll leave it at that. Director Bruce D. Clark has a rather small resume, but he also directed the biker film Naked Angels. Galaxy of Terror has quite the cast, including Ray Walston, Zalman King, Robert Englund, Joni Cunningham, Sid Haig, and what I'm pretty sure was a Tom Skerritt android. The film was produced by Roger Corman with a young lad by the name of James Cameron as a production designer and second unit director. Cameron would go on to direct the smash hit Piranha 2: The Spawning. I know, calm down, it was a joke. It's interesting because Galaxy of Terror was influenced by Alien, and Cameron would go on to direct the Alien sequel. Galaxy of Terror was initially released under the title Mind Warp and Infinity of Terror, and sometimes just Mind Warp, which is a much better title for the film because, well, I can't say. It also has a reputation for being a really sleazy affair. But with the exception of one scene involving a young lady and her large maggot friend, it's really not a sleazy film. Though boy oh boy, the aforementioned scene is a doozy. Not that I can show you, but it was added because Corman promised the financial backers a sex scene. And, well, he certainly delivered, and it got the film an X rating at first. The scene had to be trimmed down to get rid of any shot where the actress, Tave O'Connell, looked to be having too good a time. But Galaxy of Terror is a dark and rather intense film. The scene with the blade running up Sid's arm gives me the heebie-jeebies. That is far better than it gets credit for. And there was some other killer talent behind the scenes as well, including Gene Turnbow, the Skotak brothers, and Peter Manoogian, who directed both Eliminators and Arena. And next up we have Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow from 1959. Directed by William J. Hull Jr., Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow is a comedic take on both teenage drag racing films and monster movies. And it tells the story of a group of teens in a drag racing club. Unfortunately, they have been evicted from their clubhouse, even though they claim they're good kids. Someone might want to tell them shooting guns indoors while rocking out may contradict that a wee bit. Sounds like delinquent behavior to me, but I learned a new word from it.
Now that doesn't leave much time for the average kid to do much delinquencising.
The group then sets up in an old, abandoned mansion where they decide to throw a costume ball. Well, it turns out the mansion might just be haunted, and there's also a monster running around. The film has a rather large cast with several folks that did some notable genre work, so I'm only going to mention a few. But first up we have Jodie Fair as a young mechanic whose father would rather her be the town bimbo than work on cars. Because we all know that dads hate when their daughters work on cars, right? Fair also appeared in The Brain Eaters and an episode of Dobie Gillis. Then we have Russ Bender as a reporter with a soft spot for the club. Bender was a writer and actor who appeared in It Conquered the World, Invasion of the Saucermen, and both the Colossal films. And finally, as the monster, we have special effects legend Paul Blaisdell. He also has a very strange cameo, which I won't spoil, as himself. Blaisdell was one of the most talented effects guys of the 1950s, and he also worked on It Conquered the World, The She-Creature, and Invasion of the Saucermen. And speaking of those lovable little fellows, one makes a cameo in the film. And speaking of, the monster suit in the film was an altered version of the cuddle suit from The She-Creature. And this was Blaisdell's final film. Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow features some great songs and possibly the coolest musical number ever put on film. Not to mention the score by B-movie legend Ronald Stein of Spider Baby, The Haunted Palace, and many, many others. Something I didn't know until I started researching the episode, Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow is a sequel to a more serious film from 1958 called Hot Rod Gang. But this is a fun little movie with some great imagery, even if the haunted house element doesn't come in until the last 25 minutes or so. But only an hour and 5 minutes, it's a fun, quick watch. And lastly, we have The Born Losers from 1967. Directed by T.C. Frank, The Born Losers is another double whammy, being not only an outlaw biker film, but also an early example of vetsploitation. And it tells the story of Billy Jack, a half Navajo Vietnam vet who knows martial arts, who has pretty much shunned society and lives in the mountains. But on one of his few trips to town, he runs across an outlaw biker gang beating up a random local. Billy Jack jumps in and saves the guy. But our hero is the one arrested, and the biker gang continues to run wild, terrorizing the city and hanging out in a stylish lair. After the bikers rob Billy Jack, and the local authorities refuse to do anything about it, he takes matters into his own hands. The director's name, T.C. Frank, was a pseudonym for the film's star, Tom Laughlin, and this was very much his project. The idea first came to him in the 1950s. He wanted to make a movie about a Native American hero, but this would prove to be a difficult task. No studio wanted to make the movie. But years later, in the 1960s, Laughlin heard about a brutal incident involving some Hells Angels. From this, he had the idea to make it into a biker film, and thus The Born Losers came into being, written by co-star Elizabeth James, who also appeared in Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. And speaking of the cast, actor Jack Starrett, who plays a deputy in the film, would go on to play another villainous deputy in what is probably the most famous vetsploitation film of all time, First Blood. Independently financed, The Born Losers ran out of money during post-production. Laughlin would then go to AIP, who bought out the original investors and gave him enough money to finish the film. And supposedly, this was AIP's highest grossing release until the Amityville Horror. And you know, I just realized that I covered 2 AIP films in a row. I should have done a third one and made this an AIP episode. Though maybe a bit on the obscure side now. The Born Losers was a big hit, and the character would strike a chord with many. The film would go on to receive 3 sequels, including Billy Jack, which is probably the most famous and the first to feature his iconic black hat. But for this sleazy tiki weirdo, The Born Losers is the best of the bunch, even though I do like that hat. And that's all the time we have for this weekend. So Aaron, what do you think of my abilities as a YouTube host?
I feel absolutely nothing at all.
Well, I am wearing my sexiest tinfoil hat after all.
You're a peeping Tom.
That's not true at all. I only use my tinfoil hat for noble reasons. So please like, comment, subscribe, watch the skies, and stay atomic.
Here's Jim Coyne, a nice guy in a tough business.
If you want to buy audio equipment, come to Sound Chamber. We'll show you why.
Sound Chamber may not have the biggest showroom in Cleveland, only the best stocked. When we advertise it, we have it. If you want to buy techniques, we sell it to you, no hype. Sound Chamber is the place to come because we have it all.
That's why my customers always feel fantastic.
Jim Coyne Sound Chambers, Northfield at Emory, West 130th across from Southland, and in Mentor on Center Street.
A plumber cutting my hair.
You wanted to test Liquid Plumber against the other leading liquid drain opener. Well, what's one of the most common causes of clogged drains?
Hair.
Right. So into the Liquid Plumber, into the other brand.
Liquid Plumber dissolved the hair.
The other didn't.
Liquid Plumber has 2 fast-acting ingredients, one for grease, one for hair. The other doesn't.
Great, but next time you prove Liquid Plumber's best, use your own hair.